Okay, how's it going? We're not doing the intro. We're just jumping right into talking about that fucking episode.
Boy, oh boy.
Because we have to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, last episode was Mr. Garrison's fancy new vagina being misgendered in the title itself.
Yeah.
Which, goddamn, again, it's like the Chef Goes Nanners, which is the title itself is so emblematic of how unbelievably bad the episode is going to be. Now, before we actually talk about the episode, let's hit just the facts out there and everything.
Okay.
First off, this episode is widely considered, or not this episode, the one that this episode is titled. It's weird. I'm going to be saying this episode a lot, or that episode, whatever.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the previous episode.
Okay.
Anyway, that was, widely considered to be the, worst episode in South Park. Still considered to be, the worst episode in South Park. It is, this whole season is known as the season of no ideas. Last season was, we're working on the movie, we're super duper stressed trying to do the movie and the show at the same time, so that's why it's hard to come up with ideas. This was just, we were done the movie, we've done 8 seasons of South Park, we don't have any ideas left. This season is just, we had no ideas for the whole season.
Oh no!
This episode specifically was the episode that Trey said was the closest he has ever come to quitting South Park.
Really?
He was like, in doing this episode, it was so bad that we were like, why are we doing South? Should we just, we have a contract and everything. Should we just cancel the contract? Should we just pay the fee that it's going to require us to pay to get out of South Park? Which has never, they've done the plenty of, let's quit South Park before.
Right.
That's going to be a reoccurring thing throughout South Park of, this is the season where they wanted to quit.
Right.
This is the other season where they wanted to quit. This is the other season where they wanted to quit.
Sure.
This is the first time and the only time where they were like, this is so bad, we want to just cancel the contract and pay the fee. Instead of okay, this is now the time where we can re-sign a contract to get more seasons, or we can just stop now. Should we just stop? There's a lot of that.
Sure.
But yeah, so I think that's emblematic of how fucking awful this episode was. There's also, this episode has some of the most animation errors of any episode.
Oh yeah.
So I wanted to get all that out of the way.
Fair. It is an absolute train wreck.
Yeah, it really is. Where do we even start? It is misogynistic, it is trans-misogynistic, it is fucking racist, it is homophobic, it is everything under the sun. They really jam-packed it with this. Also, again, another thing, they had so little idea for this episode, they wanted to just do 5 minutes of, the footage of a sex change.
Right.
Just uninterrupted. They were just we don't have an idea, so just play 5 minutes of another movie, because the clip, the couple seconds of clips they did use were from Let Me Die a Woman, the fucking a fantastic film for transgender issues and everything like that, and they're using it in the most transphobic episode possible. So where the fuck do we even start on that goddamn episode? Well, you know what? Let's just get it out of the way with the fucking, Kyle plot,
Sure, because, that is separate from a lot of the other issues. I mean, it feeds into them.
Yeah, it's, again, creating this whole straw man argument. And everything. Every time they want to do something like this, they have to create a straw man argument because it doesn't exist.
They have to also change all the characters so that they're all different, because they can't do it with the characters they've built that are,
It is so wild with Kyle being I love this, all these things you've never seen. Jared, I love dolphins, never seen a lot of all these things the characters constantly are doing, we've never seen them care about. Miss Garrison is supposed to be the worst person possible. Yeah. And so then they use it for this. It's very emblematic of the J.K. Rowling wanting to do the new series where, doing a transgender serial killer and everything. Yeah. Where it's it's very clear why you are doing this. The Kyle thing.
Oh boy.
It is emblematic of the same way of gay people trying to say that they have the same amount of oppression that black people do or anything like that. Right. When you can hide your sexuality. It is, you can hide it. You cannot hide your race. Yeah. It is a different lived experience through, that's why, light-skinned black people have it less often, dark-skinned black people. There is a whole, it's such a bigger, different problem than, your sexuality is something you can hide. Right. That is something that, gender as well, is not something that is visible, you know? It's not something that is, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's...
Oh, Lord.
Boy, I can't believe any series had the insanity to say being a woman who cannot have a period and have children is like being a black man who can't play basketball.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
what the fuck?
It's, again, it's, I still think one of the insanest shit that the MCU has, because the MCU has done the exact same thing where they're just like, yeah, Black Widow's not a woman because she can't, have babies, and it's like, oh Lord, why? What the fuck is up with fucking cis people and their ideals? Right? Like, they're so obsessed with, if you can't have babies, you're not a person.
That's what women are, of course.
Just baby machines.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my God. So, is there anything else you want to say about the episode itself? Like, we're going into this episode with such a bad, like... this is not the right mood to be going into this episode with, but...
I guess just, like... The fact that they couldn't come up with a single character to which any of these things made sense.
Yeah.
Like, even Mrs. Garrison, like, it is such a out of nowhere, they don't do the, like, here's a
and
minute.
they had to make Mr. Slave such a transmisogynistic piece of shit.
Yeah.
I'm so mad!
I mean, if this is, like, I know this is not going to be the end of Mr. Slave overall, but, like, I'm surprised this is what they did after, like, a season or two of Mr. Slave and Mr. Garrison is, like, a thing in the series.
It's the thing that they constantly do in South Park every time of, we're going to have the boys not be in this episode because the boys are straight white cis men. But then we're going to have all these other characters who are voiced and written by us cis straight white men to pretend that this is what gay people actually believe, or this is what black people actually believe, or this is what Latinos actually believe, or this is what... Every time they do that. Jimmy and Timmy were the most egregious example of, like, them just literally saying, like, it's... Oh, boy. They can't... South Park is just constantly strawmanning an argument and then making an entire generation believe in it.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I said, we did our endgame discussion, and I said the MCU is the biggest amount of propaganda that is in the world right now, and that is very true.
Yeah.
Because even though South Park is still airing right now, I do not believe that it is as big of propaganda as it was in the past. Whereas, it was certainly the biggest piece of propaganda in the world before that, I think. Which is why I'm glad that I'm doing both and trying to de-radicalize all the fucking people in both of these audiences. Because you know what? If we're not doing it, nobody else fucking is. As much as I fucking hate so much of South Park, and sometimes I will watch these episodes and I want to fucking die. There's plenty of great episodes as well, but goddamn, I had to get through these shitty episodes just to fucking... If we're not doing it, nobody else is.
Yeah.
Every other reactor is just a cowardly piece of shit that is not going to actually talk about any issues and are just going to, sidestep them so that way they can... Watching any South Park reactor, even if they agree with what the episode is doing, they won't even talk about it because they don't want to, like, have a stance on anything.
To be perfectly honest, if you weren't here with me, like, doing your rewatches, I'm doing a blind watch, I would definitely have just quit somewhere around Pancake Head.
Yeah.
As just a, like, I don't like this anymore. This isn't worth it.
Yeah, I mean...
I
can get why Dre wanted to quit during this one, because I wanted to quit during this one. Oh, God. So, let's redo my intro right now and say... This is a Black Lives Matter, all cops are bastards, and trans rights supporting channel. But what do I mean by that? Because just by saying that is not enough. Black Lives Matter it needs to be said as Black Lives Matter. It is not Trans Lives Matter. If you are saying Trans Lives Matter, that is Black Trans Lives Matter. It is trans rights, not Trans Lives Matter.
Right.
Native Lives Matter is the only other thing that is acceptable along with Black Lives, and that should be Black and Indigenous Lives Matter, not just Indigenous Lives Matter. Because if you are just... Black Lives Matter came first as a movement, you are... co-opting that slogan. The problems are definitely, they're one and the same. But if you're going to use the same slogan, you have to realize that if you leave out Black Lives Matter at that point, you are leaving out Black Lives Matter at that point. So it does have to be Black Lives Matter and Indigenous Lives Matter, Black and Indigenous Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Nothing else. Like, people of color have a problem, have a lot of issues too. It is not... You cannot say people of color lives matter or specific lives. That is a Black Lives Matter movement. It is specific to black people. They have no thing that they have no... It's not easy to be able to find their origin, their origin tribe or their origin place of country or whatever. That every other person of color is a lot easier to do. Same with Indigenous. That's why it's only for those.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like, I'm trying to get more into these things that I say at the beginning of my video, that I say them and people can misinterpret them in different ways as well.
Yeah.
So no matter how many times you say it, it's never going to get across the full extent of what I am trying to say, If you are queer and you want to, include yourself in this movement, you have to include black people in the movement. You cannot say gay lives matter. You cannot say, blah, blah, blah. That is not how it works. It is a completely separate... Okay, so all cops are bastards. All cops in every country, every single cop. If you are an authority, by cop, I also mean if you are an identity cop, that is the same. Absolutely. All cops are bastards. What do I mean by that? That is so light of a thing to say. All cops are Nazis. All cops do not even deserve to be held to the same degree as Nazis, because Nazis were not even held to a real degree.
Right.
They deserve to be held to a degree far more than the Nazis were, because they weren't. What do I mean by trans rights? I don't just mean, all inclusive. This is absolutely not an exclusive channel. I want to make it extremely clear this is an inclusive channel.
Right.
Think of the most contradictory identity you could possibly think of in your mind. Whatever it is, think about it. That is perfectly valid. 100%. Does not matter. Whatever the fuck you want your identity to be is whatever the fuck you want your identity to be. It does not matter. Full support, full validity to all my fucking gay bisexuals, my gay lesbians, my fucking all in-spec lesbians, anything, Right. It doesn't matter. This is your identity. Nobody can fucking tell you otherwise. Same thing with cis. If someone wants to say they're cis and trans, that is totally fine, because it is an identity that you are giving yourself, and it doesn't mean shit except to you.
Right.
Fuck this. After this episode, take today, my cis people out there. I don't know why I said my cis people. I mean that as in my audience. Cis people in my audience. Take the time out there to actually think about what your gender means to you. Take the day. You're going to need a hell of a lot more than a day, but take the time and think about it. Like, do you not care if you were misgendered? That's not normal for people, even cis people. It's not a normal thing. That means something, I don't know what it means. It means something to you. Figure it out, Do you not like being called your own? Just think about it. There's so much to think about. There's nothing wrong with thinking about it.
Yeah. It's not just does this make you feel bad? It's also does this make you feel good?
Yeah.
Does this other thing make you feel better?
Yeah. If you have a close friend that you trust, ask them to use some pronouns on you. Just casually, when other people aren't around. And, that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Also, you don't have to feel dysphoria to not be cis. It is entirely labels, It is whatever you want to fucking label yourself as. It is your identity. No one else can tell you otherwise. No one's gonna say you're not trans enough. No one's gonna say you're not non-binary enough. You know what? That was definitely something that I struggle with a lot.
Right.
Of for a year I was thinking about, my gender and everything, just because I was I don't feel like I am non-binary enough. And it took so long for me to break through that.
Yeah.
So you know what? I gotta put it out there. No one is going to think that but you. You are the only one thinking, I'm not good trans enough, I'm not non-binary enough, I don't have dysphoria, so whatever. That's not what it is about.
Right.
You're completely valid in whatever identity you got. Now that we're on a slightly more positive note, I feel like we can move into the episode.
All right.
Die, hippie, die.
Oh boy.
After all that.
I mean, to be fair, this does make me a little excited. This feels like a classic Cartman line.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping for a classic Cartman episode.
All right. I definitely remember the premise of this episode, but I don't remember any of the jokes, so I don't know what that means. I'm just saying, I don't know if it's going to be a good episode or bad episode.
Fair.
I remember the premise. I don't know how they're going to execute it. Let's find out.
I hope he hates leftists in a fun way.
Sure. Most hippies I would not consider leftists even, to be fair. Most the kind of hippies they're doing. The kind of people that conservatives call hippies, I should say. Okay. Not real hippies.
I don't know. I don't trust conservatives to label people properly.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I had to amend myself. Not real hippies, not who I would call a hippie, but the kind of people that conservatives, the kind of people that Matt and Trey would call hippies, are definitely, I would say, not hippies.
Okay.
That's what I meant, to clarify. What would you rate this episode?
Oh, 6 out of 10.
Yep, 6 out of 10. Passing, yeah, passing. Still good. It's very backloaded. Like, this is gonna be a weird one to edit because, again, when I edit them, I always leave out the boring parts. The people only see the good parts. So the ratings for the people on YouTube are always so weird. But this one's probably gonna be pretty easy to edit. There's a lot of stuff in the beginning that was just kind of repeating stuff over and over, which Like I appreciate because it makes editing super easy for me. So watching it's like, yeah, 6 out of 10. Nothing bad, just kind of slow.
Yeah. Like the general concept of a not just hippie invasion, but hippie infestation, I thought was really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the second act is what really drags.
Yeah.
The first act pretty funny, pretty concise, like with Cartman and the old woman in the house and everything. But then second act drags, third act really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole there's no real message at the they throw in the Stan thing for no real reason. They clearly didn't. That could have been its own episode of using the hippies as a force to go after something like some corporation that we do every season.
Right.
But it seemed like they were going somewhere with that and didn't really go anywhere with that. But that's the only thing I could say bad about it. It's the Stan going up on stage felt completely unneeded. It didn't change anything.
Yeah.
If you took it out of the episode, nothing would be different.
Yeah, and they already had the excuse for the other boys of they're just kind of high and tired.
Yeah,
they could have just had it be the rest of the boys are useless and Cartman actually saves the day.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would have been fine. And also it's kind of like Stan goes up there, gets on stage, comes back down, and they're like, well, we can't leave because it's a huge crowd of hippies around us. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, you didn't just go right up on stage. You went to the crowd that way.
Yeah.
But, that's the only part. Stan going on stage is the only part where it's just that was unneeded. Now, the ending with this is one of the ending episode things that I remember the strongest. I was just I want to get this toy. I want you to make Kyle watch me play with this toy.
I wish I was excited because I thought that Kyle's parents were going to be behind him.
Forcing him.
I wanted the image of the entire town or just his parents forcing him to watch Cartman.
Yeah, we do get that. I wouldn't be surprised if it was an ending shot with the whole town watching him play with the car. We've done that sort of thing so many times. But yeah,
it's still good.
Yeah, we brought back the knife.
The knife is his new running gag.
It is. It's just he never plans to use it. It's just a threatening thing.
Yeah. He's kind of stores it somewhere in his back fats.
Yeah. The fact that Cartman was just in the outfit already from the get-go of this episode is fantastic. The outfits they're all wearing. Kyle wearing the Che Guevara shirt and the sandals. The feet are just...
boy. These sandals.
Their feet are as big as their head.
They've made little tweaks to a lot of things that looked weird and wonky before, especially the hands.
Yeah.
Where, the hands do change as the scene needs them to, but it's fine. It's better than the original, they are kind of blobs.
Before, it was only the circle and then the thumb circle, and if you were holding something, it was just between the thumb and the hand.
Yeah.
Whereas now, if they're grabbing something, they'll show the rest of the fingers.
Yeah.
But, the outfits with Kyle on the Kenny just was kind of lame. It was just his hoodie and I'm trying to find a good shot of it. It's just the hoodie with some patches on and a fanny pack. It's not. It doesn't look anything different. The sandals are the only real thing there. And Stan with the camo jacket. I'm assuming it is I'm trying to wear a tie-dye shirt. This is the most tie-dye shirt I have.
I actually really like that.
Yeah, it's a subtle joke. I like it. Mayor McDaniels, what do you want to say about that?
I don't think I've ever said this, but I do like her general monkey look usually, where she has the mouth that goes 10 times farther than anyone else's mouth.
Yeah, I can see it as a monkey. Yeah.
Yeah, but in terms of plots, very meh.
Yeah, it was. I admit, they did the fake out death thing, and I don't know what the point. That's not a parody of something in a show, in a movie or whatever. Mm-hmm. I don't think of the scene of somebody looking over the audience going, "What have I done? Now I have to kill myself." I don't know. It was a weird scene.
No, I've definitely seen that before.
Okay, maybe I just was unfamiliar with that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, also, like, half the movie is just a reference to the core.
Yeah. Oh, it's all a reference to the core.
Yeah. Which, I don't know why people liked to make core references so much when the core came out. I guess it must have just been people thought it was funny that they were drilling to the core of the Earth and nuking it in order to turn it back on.
I mean, it is still Red versus Blue basically did the exact same thing. They just did core, and it's still one of my favorite things in all of Red versus Blue. It's so funny. I don't know why the idea of just drilling into the center of the Earth, which, I mean, like, this is not like drilling into the center of the Earth, but it's the same, like, concept. It is just inherently funny.
And they do have a map, like, in the control center that is, like, with the crowd as the Earth.
Yeah. And, like Journey to the Center of the Earth is, you know, same sort of thing. That's not like drilling to the center of the Earth, but it's still, like, going to the center of the Earth is such a funny concept.
Okay. See, that's not the part of core I find funny.
Okay.
I think, like, that part's like, yeah, whatever. The part I just find funny is the nuking it.
Okay, well that is, I mean, yeah, that's also why I find the Red vs. Blue thing extremely funny. Like, more like the phrasing of we're going to kick Earth's ass. Like, sure. But yeah, I don't know. I think the nuke thing is very funny. Yes, like that is, you know, now that you brought that up, that is funnier. But just inherently the idea, because like Journey to the Center of the Earth didn't have that, and that's still funny to me.
Right.
It's just going to the center of the Earth is a hilarious concept to me, because it's always depicted as like a cave or something. Like it's always like it's never the center of the Earth. Yeah, the design of this whole, like, core or the drill thing as well is really good. Yeah. The putting the extra power thing is on the outside of it.
It was designed to do the sacrifice.
Yeah. And man, this episode we've done so much of like the elderly people hitting people with their cars. Yeah. It was like such a like there's blood flying everywhere and limbs are like flying off, and there's a lot of like the bodies are flying in interesting ways. And then now they're in the lazy season 9, and they're just everybody's getting hit by this and just T-posing out of the frame.
Yeah. Even the gore that we do see, like when we see the like coming on shot, is mostly just like limbs. Yeah. They're kind of just like floating them around.
Even then, I don't think there was a lot of limbs. It was mostly whole bodies, just T-posing.
Right.
Like, the only gore is the, like, stationary one when they're on the actual, stage.
No, I'm thinking about the shot where, like, we're looking at it and, like, the drill's coming at the camera.
Okay.
That's, like, the only time that I think there is gore in this.
Yeah, they do take apart 2 or 3 bodies.
Yeah.
Like, 3 bodies get chopped apart. All the other ones in the scene just T-pose out of there. But yeah, so there is that's the only shot with the drills coming at the camera, and you see like 3 people get chopped up, and it is like we just take off the head and the pants right there, and they just make those 3 parts go, which are the 3 parts of the body that they have. I mean, like other than the arms. But yeah, it's so lazy.
Yeah.
I'm guessing a lot of the episodes this season are going to be 6s out of 10. They're going to be like, yeah, that's passing. It's good enough. That's my prediction. Who knows? I actually don't really remember. Like, I'm looking through the episode list of the season. It's like I barely remember any of these episodes. Okay. They're all so like I kind of remember that.
The crowd physics, like whenever we see the crowd from like an above shot, it's so weird.
What do you mean by physics?
Like I'd say specifically the shot when they start dispersing.
What do you mean by physics?
Like these are all distinct like images, and then when they start to disperse at the end of the episode, they like they like in chunks.
Yeah. I don't know. It's not that weird because that's like how ants, go apart and stuff like that. It's not how humans go apart, but like
sure,
that is how. Yeah, it looks like an ant colony dispersing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see what you mean. Physics is probably a weird word to use for that, but I know what you mean.
Sure.
Also, yeah, again, like the hippies remind me so much of my parents and everything, of the being like against the system, but being not really doing anything about that, and just pouring more money into the system constantly anyway. Like with this whole festival and everything, and various shit, just like being like, that is really the thing, just not wanting to take the ownership of doing anything.
Right.
It just reminds me so much of my dad, who is a huge piece of shit, and I hate him, and he can rot in hell.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, my mom got her life together and is, you know, way more of a just, like, she is just a leftist now. Like, you know, she is fully, you know, she's great. I love my mom. Hate my dad, hope he burns in hell. He's dead, so he is.
Right.
But, yeah, it's... I don't know how I want to talk about it, because I have too much personal stuff that is too, like, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I could talk about it without getting way too personal.
Fair. I mean, I did like the twist of, you know, because it is a festival, because it's a self-encapsulated festival, no one's buying anything from South Park.
Yeah.
Like, it is I understand... This episode did a good job making me understand what the threat was in both levels. Like, both on they're physically hippies filling our houses, and also in the, like, this could actually destroy the town.
Yeah.
Like, I understand how that works. It isn't just Cartman saying they're going to destroy the town, and then...
Yeah, like, yeah, you see why the mayor is now concerned about it. Like, why the mayor changes her mind and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, like, yeah, I think, to talk somewhat about the hippie stuff, like, yeah, it is like we're going to just do a music festival and funnel all the, like, money into, you know, the people running this music festival and just giving them way more money, rather than, like they say, oh, we could just start a commune here, man, and do blah, blah, blah. And it's like, instead of, like, actually doing that stuff, which, like, yeah, it's so much different looking at, like, you know, these kind of hippies versus, like, you know, actual protesters and people that are, you know, trying to help and doing mutual aid and, you know, giving out food and Medicare and, or not medical care.
Right.
and you know, shit like that. Like, it is, yeah, it's night and day.
Yeah.
You know, seeing my dad complain about shit and being like, oh, the system, man, and then constantly just being the worst piece of shit and leaving and, you're not gonna get into it.
Right. I feel like we're gonna get a lot of live action footage this season.
You think so? You think? It's like, almost like every time they do a compilation of live action footage, it's in an episode where they didn't have an idea. Like, Canceled as well. It's an episode with very kind of slow, you know? I mean, it wasn't just, we're just gonna redo the first episode.
Yeah. I'd say a lot of the time, like, they'll either do it for effect, or, like, occasionally there'll be an episode where it's like, this was slow, but I didn't realize that the live-action stuff was filler.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes they can, you know, balance it out. Whereas, like, last episode, this episode, they were both, like, boy.
It can still be funny, and you can recognize that it's filler, but, like, I don't want to, I'm doing to say it to you, like, I'm talking to the camera, like, it can still be funny, and you, like, the close-up dogs with a fisheye, or close-up animals with fisheye lens is entirely filler. The whole episode is, we don't have an idea, so we're going to do an episode about not having an idea, so we should do something that's going to allow us to, like, play some footage. I mean, and it's a funny idea. Yeah, and they get away with it by playing it, like, 3 times, and then also at the end. Whereas, yeah, I think, like, other times it is done really well with, like, the shop class teacher. Yeah. Like, yeah, all that live-action stuff was really good. But yeah, for the most part, most of the time they use live-action stuff, it is, like, the commercials, those are good. That's, like, new content. That's added content and everything. But when they have filmed it themselves, it's so much different than when they when they're just using footage from something else. Especially the last episode where they were planning to use 5 minutes of unedited footage from an entire movie. I can't fucking believe that.
Well, Randy was the parks person, right?
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense.
Geology does it. I mean,
he's a geologist.
Geology has to do with land.
To be fair, what he does as a geologist hasn't really been clear since episode 3, when we first learned he's a geologist.
Yeah, it was like the volcano thing made sense, and then after that, it's been like, well,
what does he do?
I mean, do they need a geologist? They're such a tiny town. What does a geologist do in a small town like this?
In a small town, it usually is a, like, I'm here for the location rather than the people. Like, it's more of a, like, you know, I'm checking for, like, tremors and whatnot.
Yeah, that would make sense with the volcano.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, there's not, I mean, what more do you do with a volcano that's already gone off? Like, it's
such a... again?
I guess, but I get... volcano! I get why it's, like, realistically, what does Randy have to do? Like, what interesting thing could we see Randy do? Like, lawyer stuff, we get to see Kyle's dad do a lot, but... I call him Kyle's dad when he's a lawyer because that is, of course, his lawyer name.
Oh,
Kyle's
right.
dad.
I forgot about that. I just want to see Randy licking rocks or something.
I mean, that's very fitting for Randy.
Also, yeah, your kid selling magazines is absolutely a capitalist nightmare.
Oh, yeah, it's fucking crazy. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, I wish I could have gone somewhere with it. It could have been interesting, but...
Like, we gotta do an episode about that at some point, right?
We'll see.
We'll see. I will wait to talk about that if we had an episode like that.
Yeah, I mean, because that's such a kid thing.
Such a classic.
But, yeah. Anything else you have to say about the episode before I get into, like, trivia or anything? I don't know. Again, I always say that. Like, we're not going to talk more about the episode during trivia.
I still can't believe we didn't get any of Carton's mom in the episode. Like, not even in the background. Oh, no. Oh, no. This is a bad expression.
I can't bring this up yet. God, Oh, you got to leave the room for a second. I got to bring this up to the audience. This is so bad. I got to bring this up to the audience.
Okay.
But it's something that...
Right.
So, Chef's final ever recorded line was... I'm alive. Whew, boy. Yeah, we're gonna get to that soon. Yikes. Okay, that is it for the trivia. There's actually not really any trivia besides that. Well, actually, let me look at the Wikipedia page. I didn't even look at the Wikipedia page for it yet.
Sure.
So, in the first segment of this episode, instead of being dressed as a Ghostbuster, he was actually supposed to be dressed as Dwayne Chapman from Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Oh.
But they felt that it was going to be too, like, nobody was going to get the reference. Which I can't believe, after 9 seasons of this, they're saying, oh, we didn't do that because we didn't think people were going to get the reference.
Now is when we're not going to get the reference. I mean, you gotta commit.
But yeah, so at the last minute, they, like, switched out for Ghostbuster stuff.
Oh, that's a shame. I want to see fake leather Eric.
Actually, this actually has some interesting reception.
Okay.
David Sirota actually, like, did a book called Back to Our Future in 2011 that used this episode as the opening statement of his book and everything.
Okay.
Of, like, talking about how Cartman is, like, a perfect encapsulation of 1980s conservative backlash against the 1960s, hippie movement and popular culture and all that.
Right.
And, like, yeah, just how, like, it just cycles and, cycles. But, yeah, aside from that, that is it.
Okay.
So, we'll see you guys for the next episode, Wing.
Oh, boy, I actually know this one.
You mean you know this episode?
I'm certain I know. Not this episode, I've never seen it. But I mean, I'm certain I know what this is going to be a reference to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see you guys for that. Until then, get the fuck out of here.